tonight. A Regina business owner says he's concerned after video shows a man lying outside in freezing temperatures for hours with no one stopping to help.
There was a lot of people went by and there's no way they could have missed him.
Also, how a romantic getaway turned into a nightmare for one woman who says she was injured at a resort in the Dominican Republic. Plus, improving food security and combating climate change through vertical farming.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, January 11th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams in for Sam McKeag. Thanks for joining us tonight. A man who died on the side of a Regina road recently laid outside in freezing temperatures for 7 hours without any assistance, and it was all caught on video. The business owner who released the surveillance tape says it shows a lack of humanity. Bonnie Allen reports.
It's just before 8 o'clock on December 30th when a city bus rolls up. A passenger talks to the bus driver, then stumbles out the back exit door on 4th Avenue in Regina. He falls on the ground and stays there for more than 7 hours in freezing temperatures without any help. He eventually dies. And it's all captured on Jeff Holt's security camera.
When you see a guy sitting there and you're watching him die on video, it's not a TV show, it's real life, right? So it's going to hit you.
Holt says he and his staff were astounded to see dozens of drivers, including 3 buses, drive by without checking on the man. And Holt says he was clearly visible.
He lay there from 8 o'clock until, well, we could tell at least till midnight with some movement trying to wave people down, and nobody stopped to check on this guy. He would kind of get up as much as he could, wave his arm, and nobody had stopped for the poor gentleman that fell out of the bus.
At about 3:30 in the morning, a person on a bicycle checked on the man and called 911. The police say the man's death is not criminal, and Holt says officers told him it was likely due to exposure to the cold. The coroner's office is still investigating the cause of death. As to whether the city bus driver who dropped the man off should have done more,
it is something that gets then reviewed with transit operators. They go through quite a bit of education and deal with quite a bit on our city buses, and so it's under review in terms of what happened, how it happened.
We can't ignore people anymore. These are human beings, and we need to look at solutions that are going to make a difference in their lives. We should be prepared to have places set up for them to go so they don't freeze on the streets of Regina.
Holt can't stop thinking about what he saw on the video and imagining how the family must feel knowing their loved one was left to die. Bonnie Allen, CBC News.
Well, we had hints it would happen, and now it is official. Teachers in Saskatchewan are moving forward with job action. Today, the province's Teachers Federation announced there will be a strike next Tuesday. Aishwarya Duda has the details.
The Saskatchewan Teachers Federation has started the countdown. 5 days until province-wide strike next week on Tuesday, January 16th. The action was announced at a news conference Thursday morning, but things could still change. STF president says the strike will be cancelled if the government comes to the table to bargain on the issue of class sizes.
We do not want to take this action. We can avoid taking this action. At any time, if government is willing to discuss longer-term commitments to address class complexity, teachers will return to the table.
The one-day strike will be the first job action since teachers voted overwhelmingly in favor of sanctions in October. Teachers and the government also worked with mediators in December, but there was no resolution.
We are giving plenty of notice because we are approaching this in good faith. We are approaching this in the hopes that government will take teachers seriously, take the process seriously, renew their mandate, and get back to the table so that we can avoid any action.
gov't says the union is considering next steps, but is reluctant to take further job action. In a statement, Provincial Education Minister Jeremy Cockrell said the government is disappointed the SDF is working toward a strike. Meanwhile, some students and parents are speaking out and say the situation is disappointing all around.
I do find it frustrating because we have finals about a week or two away and we're losing that valuable class time. because the government won't, there's no negotiation happening. There's just nothing happening, which is why this drastic measure needs to be taken. What the teachers are fighting for is ultimately what is affecting me in my learning. With the too big of school class sizes, I don't get the help that I need. Other students don't get help, lack of EAs, even lack of funds for new supplies.
I absolutely support teachers. I think job action isn't what anybody wants to do, but sometimes you have to make some noise.
Schools across the province will be closed on Tuesday, but open again on Wednesday. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A Regina Court of King's Bench judge must now decide whether a legal battle over Saskatchewan's controversial pronoun policy can proceed. The bill was pushed through when the government invoked the notwithstanding clause last fall. That move overrode parts of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. UR Pride lawyers are arguing to continue their challenge under Section 12 of the Charter, which covers cruel and unusual treatment. They said it wasn't considered when the province decided to invoke the notwithstanding clause. The pronoun policy, officially known as the Parental Bill of Rights, requires schools to get parents to consent before a child under 16 can use a different gender-related name or pronoun. Justice Michael McGaugh has now heard all the testimony and reserved his decision. There's no word on when it will be delivered. A trio of authorities are investigating the cause of an explosion that blew out a wall of a Regina restaurant. Crews were called to Luigi's Pasta House yesterday afternoon for an explosion. When they arrived, the building was on fire and flames had also spread to the attic. Firefighters evacuated the strip mall, which contains 6 businesses, according to Regina Fire. In a Facebook post, Luigi said the fire was caused by a gas leak, but the city's fire chief says it's too soon to know for sure.
I can't confirm that because we have investigators right now on scene, making sure that they confirm all the details and all the circumstances, and make sure that they eliminate all potential causes when they finalize and confirm a final cause.
The city of Regina wouldn't say how the explosion has affected the nearby businesses, but other businesses nearby are closed and damage is visible. The investigation is being handled by Regina Fire, Regina Police, and Sask Energy. A Saskatoon woman who made online threats toward Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not going to jail. A judge accepted a joint submission to give Marley Dansereau a 1-year conditional discharge. Dansereau made the threat last October in a group chat on TikTok, and a warning: the clip you're about to hear contains disturbing language.
Guess who was in Laurence last weekend?
Who?
Face was.
That doesn't surprise me.
I was literally hours away from him. And if I could get off work and go kill the motherfucker, I would. He was hours away.
Give it about 5 seconds and maybe take a note.
Hey, I got some gas money. I got some gas money. I'll give you gas money.
Hey, if someone's willing to pay my hourly wage so I can skip work and go and do that, I would. I'd do us all a favor.
The Prime Minister had been in La Ronge a week earlier to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. As you heard there, Dansereau said in the chat she would have killed him if she could have gotten off work. Her lawyer told the judge she didn't know the chat was being recorded. Saskatchewan is starting a new provincial drug alert system. The province says these warnings about drug toxicity will go to at-risk people through text, email, and a downloadable app. The Provincial Coroner's Service says there were 291 confirmed drug deaths last year. Mayor Sandra Masters says the drug alert technology will save lives.
This is that real-time alert system because we know that more toxic substances, deadly substances, are getting into the drug supply, and so really to have that collaboration across ministries and the first responders is critical to try to get that word out. Because it's not just here; it's when it happens in Regina, Saskatoon needs to know about it, PA needs to know about it, the other cities need to know about it when it happens, and vice versa.
Drug alerts will be issued by the Ministry of Health based on information from organizations such as the Coroner's Service, fire departments, and drug checking sites in Saskatoon and Regina. Alerts may be issued if a lot of people are experiencing an overdose in a short period of time. if there are multiple overdoses in one clustered area, or if overdoses are difficult to reverse with naloxone. A Regina woman says her engagement trip to the Dominican Republic turned into a nightmare when she was seriously injured at a resort last week. She says the excruciating pain has now put her career in jeopardy. And as Moira Whiten reports, Sunwing Vacations now says it is investigating.
Immediately, I felt pain in my knees. And immediately after getting out of the chair, I looked at one of them. I was like, I'm hurt, like I'm really hurt. And they just dismissed me.
That was the moment Mackenzie Wilker says her trip turned horrendous. Just 2 days after her fiancé proposed on New Year's Eve at Playa Bachata Resort. The couple was keen to go on stage, and it was all fun and games, until this balloon popping event. Wilker bent over a chair, but 3 resort staff members ran up behind her fiancé and piled on top of her.
There was no consent given anywhere, no warning. They didn't do it to any other couple, just us.
She only found out how badly hurt she was when she went to bed that night.
I instantly started screaming in pain. Something popped and my whole leg just cramped up. And I said, Brighton, like, I think I really need medical attention.
Wilker says she asked both the resort and Sunwing Vacations for assistance, but workers didn't help her see a doctor until the next day, and she didn't know if her insurance would cover a hospital visit. Back in Regina, medical records show she needs an MRI and possible surgery. Doctors said she likely has serious damage to her back and hips.
I ended up in the hospital from the pain. My legs were completely numb. My back hurt so bad. I had 2 heating pads going. I was not getting any relief.
She says she wants her trip reimbursed and medical costs covered. The Playa Bachata Resort did not respond to multiple comment requests. In an email, Sunwing told Wilker it takes such issues very seriously, but as a tour operator, it does not own or operate this hotel, and therefore, it is difficult to be able to respond to issues that occur in the care of our suppliers. The vacation company says it is investigating. Meanwhile, Wilker expects a long and expensive road to recovery, leaving her plans to open a day home next month in limbo, and the wedding she's always dreamt of in jeopardy. Moira Whiten, CBC News.
As climate change worsens and political turmoil continues around the world, Canada's supply of essential goods is under threat. That has led to the creation of an indoor vertical farm in Calgary. The company says it will improve local food security. Brian Labby explains.
A tray of micropeas, one of the first crops to be harvested at Goodleaf Farms. The facility covers 100,000 square feet. The company wouldn't let us take pictures, fearing the competition would copy their setup.
We have created an environment where we provide the plants with exactly what they need at exactly the time they need it.
The plan is to produce 1 million kilograms of leafy vegetables a year. Agreements are already in place with major retailers, and the company says these homegrown veggies could reduce our reliance on imports.
We are creating an alternative, a domestic alternative, to deal with Canada's food sovereignty. But our intent is to be an option to replace imports.
Canada imports billions of dollars worth of veggies every year, most of it from the U.S. Experts say these vertical farms are sprouting up at a time when some U.S. producers are struggling.
The challenge down there is that they're facing droughts and reduced water availability for irrigation.
The City of Calgary's food systems planner says there are about a dozen indoor vertical farms in the city. It's part of a strategy to help maintain supply in the face of events like pandemics and shipping delays.
The ultimate goal is just how do we create a more resilient food system, and there are many ways that we can do that. The indoor food producers are one way.
Goodleaf says it has enough room at this location to double production, something that could happen in the next few years. Brian Labby, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, it was a frosty and frigid morning along the South Saskatchewan River in Saskatoon. Check out that steam coming off the water. That's when you know you better bundle up if you're anywhere outside. So how much longer will we be feeling the sting of this cold snap? Stay with us. I'll have a look at the forecast when we come back.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Trade and upgrade is on now.
Well, the sun going down in Regina, and you can tell by the steam coming off the buildings there very slowly. It is a cold one, minus 29 at the moment in the city. And we had a very frigid start to the day in Regina and much of the province. As we take a look now at some of the temperatures that we began with early this morning. Key Lake, our cold spot, at minus 44. And with just a little bit of wind, that felt closer to minus 54 at times this morning. Collins Bay also hitting the minus 50 mark with the wind chill, and Stony Rapids pretty close there. That was our coldest, one of our coldest temperatures at minus 43. Even through south and central Saskatchewan, we had some pretty cold temperatures below minus 30 this morning with wind chills into the minus 40s. That's where we're sitting right now temperature-wise. A lot of us getting close to minus 40 once again through northern Saskatchewan. South and central, we are getting pretty darn close to minus 30. And then you factor in just a little bit of wind that we see there, and almost all of us below minus 40 right now with the wind chill. And that is why there is an extreme cold warning, which is in effect for all of the province now. Those warnings were extended eastward through the day today. And we join Alberta in having all regions under those advisories. Wind chills minus 40 in the southern half of the province tonight. In the north, many locations close to minus 50. And of course, as mentioned yesterday, part of the reason that we're seeing this is the drop in our jet stream. It stays far to our south, allowing that Arctic air to surge through. Very different from the setup that we've seen, especially last month with El Nino pushing that to our north. We do start to see a bit of a ridge, though, building in as we get into Sunday and Monday, which means that we may actually see a reprieve from those temperatures getting into the beginning of next week. So, in terms of our sky conditions, a little bit of a system moving through the northern plain states of the U.S. tonight. That'll bring through a little bit of snow to south and central. Shouldn't be too much accumulation, definitely not as much as we saw the past couple of days here. And then high pressure settles in and begins to clear us out. A couple areas of high pressure actually will keep us clear through Sunday and Monday. Generally about 1 to 3 centimeters, I think, is what we'll see with that system moving through. Eastern sections could see maybe closer to 5 centimeters at times. And with that system, winds will pick up a bit. And this is important because, you know, temperatures are just going to be so cold that even a little bit of wind is really going to ramp up the wind chill. So gusts close to 40 in southeastern Saskatchewan, really going to bump up those wind chills quite a bit. And that's what we'll see here in Regina's extended forecast. Again, a little bit of snow tomorrow, maybe about 1 to 2 centimeters for us. Overnight lows and daytime highs likely coldest Saturday as we struggle to get above minus 30. And then you see that reprieve there Tuesday, Wednesday when that ridge in the jet stream reaches us, probably into the mid-minus teens. But then as you see similarly with Saskatoon's forecast, we will see a little bit of a drop as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Until then, temperatures very cold, and if you have any outdoor activities planned for the weekend, you're likely going to want to cancel those as it is going to be dangerously cold.
Stick because stuck on it.
Well, Elvis fans are making the annual pilgrimage to the Aussie Outback to attend a massive tribute festival for the iconic singer. Revelers hopped on the Elvis Express from Sydney to make the 6-hour journey to the event. Along the way, they're treated to a steady stream of Elvis-themed entertainment featuring impersonators in iconic gem-encrusted jumpsuits who belt out some of Presley's biggest hits. This year's theme is the 1957 musical drama Jailhouse Rock. We're back after the break. Former federal NDP leader Ed Broadbent has died. First elected to Parliament in 1968, he led the New Democrats for 14 years. Broadbent always insisted that he was an ordinary Canadian representing other ordinary Canadians. Hannah Thibodeau reports.
He was the type of politician Canadians felt they knew on a first-name basis. Ed Broadbent first ran for the NDP in 1968. He became leader in 1975. He moved the NDP to the left, and the NDP moved up in the polls. The 1988 election was a campaign fought over free trade, and it pushed Broadbent's NDP to the brink of a breakthrough.
Canadians are not about to build a Canada on the values of John Turner's vision of Bay Street as a replacement for Brian Mulroney's Wall Street.
Opinion polls prior to the election suggested the party was surging. At the time, Broadbent became the most successful NDP leader in history, with 43 seats. But he fell short of his own high hopes. There had been an expectation the NDP would at least become official opposition.
After an election, I sit down and I am with my wife here, and we think of what is good in terms of our personal life, what is good for my party, and what is good for my country.
The next year, Broadbent stepped down as leader. But his political career wasn't over just yet. After more than a decade outside of the House of Commons, he was lured back by Jack Layton.
Who's back? Ed is back. Say what?
And he reintroduced himself to a new generation of voters with a rap video.
It's time for voting and repeat.
And won a seat for the NDP in Ottawa.
If Jack Layton hadn't made a certain phone call last November, it wouldn't have happened.
In 2005, he announced he wouldn't seek re-election. He wanted to care for his wife, Lucille, who died of breast cancer in 2006. In 2011, he helped establish a political think tank aimed at exploring social democratic ideas, bearing his name, the Broadbent Institute. The NDP continued to turn to Broadbent for advice about the party he devoted so much of his life to. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
South Africa has accused Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians and is asking the UN's highest court to call for an end to Israeli military operations in Gaza. South African lawyers today presented their case at the International Court of Justice in The Hague.
Israel has killed an unparalleled and unprecedented number of civilians, with the full knowledge of how many civilian lives each bomb will take.
Israeli leaders say the accusation is baseless and add that their military actions are intended to destroy Hamas following the militant group's deadly attacks in October. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused South Africa of hypocrisy. The U.S. also says there is no justification for South Africa's allegation. Canada has yet to state its position. Well, there's no doubt about it. It is going to be a frigid night in both Regina and Saskatoon. We're already feeling like minus 40 at midnight in Regina, with flurries starting to move in from that system that'll be coming in from the U.S. We still could be seeing some lingering flurries by 8 a.m. Not a whole lot of change in temperature or what it's actually going to be feeling like. And by the noon hour, again, we might see a few breaks of sun here and there in Regina and maybe some lingering flurries, but mostly still staying cold. And that'll be the case as well in Saskatoon, looking for a wind chill of around minus 42. We will likely hit the minus 30 mark and get below that again in Saskatoon by tomorrow morning. Mostly cloudy skies, and then I think a little more clearing in Saskatoon tomorrow afternoon. But it is still going to be very, very cold. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always visit our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, and of course, stay warm.